I came here last year in the midst of the worst crisis that Sri Lanka had faced. As was mentioned here, the collapse of our economy due to many reasons, COVID, and a reduction of taxes, which brought down revenue. And apparently, from what I know, this lesson has never been learned by others, because 1 year later, Prime Minister Liz Truss did the same thing in UK. So it seems to be going on and on. We actually should charge copyright from UK for copying us. Then there was the attempt, the measures that were taken to stop the import of fertilizer because we had no foreign exchange to import fertilizer. The refusal to go to IMF. So it's natural that this crash had to occur. And that's why when I became president, I said my first job is to go back to the IMF. But going back to the IMF was not sufficient. I needed someone to help me. So our good friend Japan is where I came to. I spoke to Prime Minister Kishida and of course your finance minister, and that was the beginning that we knew we could go ahead. So first I have to say thank you to Japan for all that has happened. Sri Lanka would not have been able to resolve this question in such a short time if not for the Japanese assistance. So now we've taken many of the steps that are necessary, as was mentioned here. We've already have agreed with IMF on the EEF, and now we are waiting the discussions that are taking place at the creditor meetings. We've had the Paris Club. India, that was outside the Paris Club, has come in for the negotiations with the Paris Club. China has now agreed to attend as an observer. We had asked them to come into the platform, but nevertheless they are attend as observer, and they are having bilateral meetings with the IMF. So I think that is a good situation to start with, though we would have preferred everyone being together. And we are going ahead. As far as I am concerned, there is no turning back. Firstly, we have to go through this pain to ensure that economy is back on track. So debt restructuring is necessary. I appointed a committee for economic stabilization, and my advisor, who the chairman is also here, and he will answer some of the detailed questions that you would wish to raise. When this happened, a lot of people in Sri Lanka said, we have no future. The country is gone. How are we going to go up again? I said, why are you so glum? They said, why? We have no future. I said, why are you so pessimistic? If you want, take the example of Japan. Virtually wiped out after the war with 2 atom bombs. I said, in that case, Japan should have never recovered. Japan came up as a new country. It has one of the strongest economies, the strongest in Asia. So I said, copy Japan, that's all. And go work. It didn't come out of, it came out of hard work, commitment. Nothing comes easy. So this is what we have now, I've told the country. It was a great tragedy for Sri Lanka. It was a big setback. But the measures we are taking to stabilize the economy also gives hope to Sri Lanka. Because my idea is not merely to stabilize the economy, but also to restructure the economy, to further liberalize the economy and make it a growth-oriented economy. So those measures have now been taken, and a final report is being prepared on economic stabilization and growth, which will be submitted to the cabinet in the coming few weeks. What do we have? Sri Lanka has to understand, and now that they have, that we have to go along with the world economy. The principles of the global economy applies to us. We are not exempt from it. And the first is to win the confidence of investors so that the people have a future. To do so, our first step is in regard to Japan. From time to time, Japan has been generous and helped us. When Prime Minister Abe was in power, I negotiated with him for certain number of projects, the LRT being the most famous, the Central Expressway, Section 3, the FRSU, and of course the East Terminal in the port of Colombo. All these were cancelled. LRT was cancelled without the cabinet being informed, just by one official. the damage was done, confidence was lost. So what are we doing now? The cabinet agreed that we can't allow this to happen again under any government. So we are bringing in laws which will ensure that once an agreement is signed, a mega project agreement is signed, it has to be tabled in Parliament, annual reports given on the implementation to Parliament, and it cannot be changed or altered without the consent of all the parties involved. So that will ensure that no government can take arbitrary decision on the basis of a report given by a few individuals. Then in regard for the private investments, we do have investment treaties which are guaranteed by the Constitution, but I will bring some more laws to give further effect to those investment guarantees. We are looking at the whole procedure in Sri Lanka, and the debureaucratization that is going on now will ensure a lot of the rules are removed and investment proposals, the decision is taken within a given time frame. We have had Board of Investments and an Export Development Board. I am doing away with all that and bringing one single Economic Development Commission which will be the sole authority on making decisions, and the law will prescribe certain periods within which such discussions are made. So I am absorbing export development and investment promotion to one agency. The BOI has one strength. It runs the best industrial estates, the best investment zones in South Asia. So we separate that into an investment infrastructure corporation where the new investment zones, whether it be for manufacturing, tourism, technology, will be started under separate companies, can be private, it can be government, or it can be a public-private partnership. All the laws and regulations which have hindered the development of business is being identified for removal. But what we want and what we are aiming for is further liberalization.